ready to prepare the outside of the wallet. Figure out which you want to be your top and which your bottom. It doesn't matter a whole lot, except that you're going to sew a border print along here. So if that matters, pay attention to that. You're going to attach a piece of binding to the bottom, and I always take my piece of binding, fold it in half and pin it, and then I sew it to the back first, and then bring it around to the front and top stitch right along that folded edge to stitch it in place. After I have my binding on, I'm going to mark lines on this so that I know where to position the various pieces. After I have my binding sewn on, I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to mark lines so we know where to align our various pieces. So the first line I'm going to mark is going to be the line for attaching our border trim. And then I'm going to mark a couple lines for attaching the pockets and Velcro. And then a line that we're going to measure up from the bottom, and that's going to be the line for folding the pocket. And all of these lines they tell you in the pattern where they go. Then we're going to mark a line for the Velcro for the outside. If you've used a regular quilt batting in your, when you've quilted your fabric, you're going to mark it differently than if you've used Soft and Stable. Soft and Stable is just a little bit thicker, so I need to make the line a little bit higher up. So now I've got all those lines marked. And they're not very noticeable, but that's okay with me because I only need them to be there for a little while I put these pieces in place. Now I'm ready to attach my piece of my border trim. And what I'm going to do is align it below the first line that I marked and stitch across it and then bring it up. One thing that I like to do, sometimes depending on the two fabrics that I've used, you can see the colors from the fabric underneath showing through. I usually like to iron a little piece of stabilizer or interfacing on that if I notice that, and then when I sew it, it brightens it up a little bit. So you can do that. The instructions for the pattern don't say that. That's something I've learned since the pattern was written. I'm just going to stick a couple pins in there. And I'm going to go sew that across, and then I'll fold it over and bring it up to the top. Okay, I've sewn my border in place, pressed it over, and I've just stitched along that edge to join it. One thing I forgot to mention, if your border trim has a design, a lot of border trims have a top and a bottom, make sure that when you sew it, you've got the top here, so that when you flip it over, this is the top of the border, because when we make our wallet, it's going to close like that. So this is the part that you'll see. So just, the pattern explains that to you, but make sure you've got that positioned in the right place. Okay, now we're ready to add the loop side of the piece of Velcro. And we are going to put it right below the line that we marked 5 3/4 inch from the top. And we want it to be centered. So it should be about 2 inches from each side. I'm going to put a little glue on the bottom of that. I couldn't live without my washable glue stick. And then I'm just going to align that right there. After I have that one in place, then I'm going to put the Velcro for the outside of the wallet on. And this one is also the loop side of the piece of Velcro. And this one, the first one was below the line marked down from the top. This one's above the line marked up from the bottom. And again, center it in place. Right above that line. And then I'm going to stitch all the way around that as I've stitched all the way around that. After I have the 2 pieces of Velcro in place, then I'm going to attach my pocket. and I'm going to align my pocket on top of my wallet, right sides together, and I'm going to align it right below the line that I've marked down from the top, 9 inches. I'm going to put those. This is a great place to use your Wonder Clips because it's hard to get pins through that many layers of fabric and soft and stable. Make sure you've got it nice and straight. And I'm going to stitch right across there. Okay, I've attached my Velcro on both sides and I've sewn my pocket in place. After I sewed my pocket, I pressed it up and I stitched down the sides and 1/4 inch up from the bottom. That closes off that seam on the inside. Now I need to make my bottom pocket. And I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing my line that I marked 3 inches. It's actually fairly visible, but not completely. So I'm just going to remark that a little bit. And I'm going to fold up along that line on each side. And then I'm going to go stitch this on each side, and I'm going to clip my corners, but I'm not going to turn this right side out yet. I'm going to leave it just like that with the corners clipped.